All right. And we are live. Andy Day, thank you for joining us. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Looking forward to it.
I'm really excited about what we're going to dig into today because so often, we work with some of the largest vendors and hyperscalers and organizations across the world and distribution partners. And they're constantly trying to get into your brain. And you are very often bringing folks into the customer, and the mindset of the customer and are deep into digital transformation, major transformational projects. So thank you for today and what you're going to share with us. But before we get into any of it, you're the sales director at IGX Global, which is an ePlus company. Many of us know you guys kind of across the globe, all of the incredible projects you're doing. We're going to talk a little bit about it. In fact, I've been recently briefed around what you're doing with AI, and it's incredible. It's incredible. So before we get into all of that, for those who maybe don't know you or don't know ePlus and IGX Global, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, no worries at all. So thank you for that intro. I'll try and make up for it as we go through. So yeah, I'm Andy Day, sales director for IGX Global, an ePlus technology company. Been in ePlus now, IGX since August 2022. So previously to that, I've kind of worked big blue chip likes of BT. I've done very small venture capital backed as well. So I've kind of done big, small, and all in between. Been in the industry now for about 27 years, which pains me to say, but the grey hair proves it. So no, been in the industry a long time. Always worked in kind of specialist areas of video conferencing back when that was specialist, collaboration, unified conferencing. Moved into probably the most specialist of all, cybersecurity, back in 2018. So if you look at kind of what my team and I do today, we spend most of our time trying to kind of help customers build out that tech solution to that digital transformation you were mentioning. And that's across a real broad stack of portfolio areas, which we're able to provide at IGX. So that's network, it's data center, it's cloud, it's collab, it's security. And of course, you mentioned it, we couldn't have any type of presentation if we didn't put the magic AI word in there. So we do an awful lot of that in the moment as well. Personal level, I'm lucky enough to live in the UK, in the home counties. I kind of share my life with my wife and two kids. I've got a naughty beagle called Bilbo. And so I spend a lot of my time kind of at work, getting stressed over things that probably don't matter too much in the grand scheme of things. And then rest of the time, spending time decompressing with the family, volunteering in the community, and trying to get that balance back a little bit.
That's incredible. And I love your naughty beagle bit. That's hilarious. I have a naughty Frenchie that you can hear in the background right now. So that's
well, he's just been sent to the vet today because he hurt his leg. So I'm hoping the naughty beagle doesn't come with a naughty bill from the vet this afternoon as well. But no, bless him, he's well loved in the house.
That's very sweet. That's very sweet. And you said it best. You're right. We probably worry about things too much that, in the grand scheme of things don't matter as much. But that being said, I mean, you guys work across so many different important verticals, including hospitals, banks, manufacturing, retail. It's incredible. It's incredible what you all are doing and the vast amount of organizations that you're helping around the world and the way you're helping them. And with technology, I mean, you've seen it better than me. I'm barely 27-year-old, myself. So I was just born. I'm kidding. Thank you for believing that. I saw like
great moisturizer. It's a great moisturizer.
A hint of belief. That's right. All the moisturizer. But you've seen it for the last 27 years, how technology has evolved and become an integral part of business. Where no longer, it's not necessarily, or shouldn't be, considered a cost center, but something that's allowing you to do your job bigger and better than you could have done yourself. And as we're seeing that, and as technology is becoming that critical component to effective business, how do you keep up? How are you doing it? There's so many things thrown at you. We're even seeing AI progress faster than cloud was. I mean, we are just seeing the rate of advancement speeding up faster than I've ever seen. And I'm curious to get your thoughts. How do you do that? How do you keep up?
Yeah, well, I'm lucky enough that working for ePlus, we've got a great team behind us, and that comes with great benefits of being able to kind of bring the team in when you need them. But it also means we had to change some of our methodologies, which I'll talk you through a bit later. We kind of come up with this concept of jazz band, which I know we'll talk about. But I think, how do I personally kind of stay out of it? Like, I've been lucky enough. I think I mentioned at the start, always worked in specialist roles. Back in, I think it was 97, straight out of school, where I started selling video conferencing. And that was back when people were amazed when the television spoke back at them. That's how you used to sell it. It was easy. But I kind of learned then that you've got to have a real passion for the technology. You've got to be interested in it, and you've got to do a lot of reading on it. And we have an excellent kind of setup over here where our subject matter experts at ePlus are constantly filling our eConnect site up with read this, learn this, understand this. But I've got to admit, the best way that I found over the years, and I stress this to salespeople and peers alike, get in front of your customers. There's this word that comes out, or sentence that comes out from customers. If you ask some curious questions, you get this response of "Did you know?" And it's the "Did you knows," which is, did you know we just purchased this and it's going brilliantly? Did you know we've just installed this and it's going horribly? Did you know we saw this technology the other day? That kind of "did you know" platform enables me to kind of understand so much more than you can read or people are willing to put in blogs. And it also then means you can go into your next meeting and go, "Hey, did you know this?" And I think you find, especially in AI and cybersecurity these days, there's a community of people who want to share their "did you knows." And so to keep ahead of the game, that kind of constant curiosity, backed with the fact you've got some subject matter experts to kind of come in and talk when you need them, is how I tend to stay ahead of the game. I got to admit, and I kind of moved into security back in the day, back in 2018, and I kind of picked up a bit of a project with a grad program. That kind of staying ahead and teaching became very tricky, very tricky.
Mm-hmm. You're right. Even in cybersecurity, I mean, we're working on a fairly sizable project right now, trying to help organizations and hyperscalers stay ahead of it, and it's nearly impossible, if not impossible. You're kind of always playing catch up and trying to think ahead. So you mentioned a couple of things there that I want to drill down into. You mentioned the grad program. Tell me about that. What's that?
Yeah, so we run them here at ePlus, but the first time I kind of saw it was back in my days at BT. So I was lucky enough, as I say, to move in from. I was doing collaboration and unified collaboration. That was my specialist area, and I like to think of myself, I was kind of top of my game there, and I could see cybersecurity. It was coming up fast with a real skills gap. So I was lucky enough through a couple of mentors to make a move over into the cybersecurity side, and again, I keep using the word lucky. I remember being approached by my then manager, Mark, and his boss, Andy, and they said, "Andy, we've got a special project for you," which was all times in my career, special project either means we've got a great opportunity for you to excel or a great opportunity for you to leave the business. But I had a special opportunity to kind of go after a special project. And effectively, you'll know better than anyone, cybersecurity, there's a major skills gap. Back in 2018, it was 1.8 million. I think it's now, it's double, triple that at the moment, and growing. And we, like most companies, were struggling to kind of hire the talent that was out there, because there just weren't enough of them out there. So we came up with this concept of creating a cybersecurity kind of grad program. And for me to lead that, not for a 6-month period or for a 2-month project, but effectively to lead it for a full 2 to 4 year cycle. And so that was really exciting for me. I'd not done that before. I barely understood cybersecurity in detail myself. Back in video conferencing days, it was Tambo, Picturetel, Cisco, a couple of vendors.
Yeah.
Here, it's every vendor, every acronym you can think of.
Exactly.
And so I remember getting the team in for the first time, and we'd found them, and we had to find a building for them, and we got the 10 fresh-faced kind of graduates walked into the building. We sat them down, and my first day plan was, right, let's start on something simple, firewalls. We'll start, the bouncer of the network. I had it all planned out. And a hand went up just about to start and said, "Where do I plug in the wireless into my laptop?" I'm like, "Well, okay, that's a good question." So hang on a minute. And I said, and then we got past that bit. I realized, well, actually, a lot of these people aren't ready for cybersecurity yet. We need to get the laptop sorted. And another hand went up the next day. I was talking about an RFP where, it comes out, we're going to work with the customer, and I was going into detail. The hand went up. What's an RFP? And again, oh God, we're going to have to go right back to basics here. And so there was a guy who worked for me at the time, a guy called Louis. He came up with this idea of brilliant at the basics. So it was this idea of, we had the opportunity there and then. Everybody picks up bad habits as they go on their careers. But if you could get that brilliant at the basics put into a group of people who hadn't learned anything yet about our industry, you could teach them not just cybersecurity, but the art of the sale and the methodology. You could teach them how to run a meeting and how to present, how to create an agenda, how to do an elevator pitch. And we created this great little cohort of human beings, which I see happening in ePlus constantly, of out of this kind of machine and this factory come these people who truly understand how to ask customers questions, truly understand how to listen to the answers, and then can build the solutions after that. So I was lucky enough to kind of run that in the UK and Europe for the previous company I worked for, and that was a really interesting place for me to be in. It's also probably one of the most proudest moments I've got actually as well, just because you'll know it, right? Again, I'm slightly older than most of the grads who's kind of sat in front of me that day. But as I look now, 4, 5, 6 years on, you just watch them on LinkedIn shooting up the various different ladders in their various different organizations. And you kind of feel like you had a little part to play in that, which I really like. I think that's really important. We go back to your previous question about how do you stay relevant and aware. That ability to share knowledge, to impart knowledge, to create a community where everyone's kind of working together, I think is really cool. I guess, again, the final part of it, final byproduct, I probably, if I'm lucky, have got about another 20 years of work in front of me if some of the investments don't pay off in everything. But I know that cohort at some point will be industry leaders, so I can probably go tap them up for a job at some point in the future. It all goes horribly wrong.
I tell folks at Continuum, just make sure you remember me and hire me when I need a job one day.
Yeah, this is it, exactly. Remember me? I taught you how to present and create an agenda. Can I have a job now, please?
Yeah, exactly. I think in all seriousness, that is exactly why you're a great sales leader. I think that's exactly why. That says so much about you as a person and as a leader. I know we've all heard this cliche, but it bears, kind of reflecting on, which is people follow leaders, and I remember learning this about maybe 10 years ago now. So I'll age myself a little bit too. You never really know who's learning from you, and you don't know what they're learning from you. So the fact that you get such joy, and I remember we've talked about this offline as well, and it's so authentic and wonderful about you, because you light up when you talk about, hey, I got to see these people, where maybe their lives would have taken a different path. And I think that says a lot about you, and it's exciting to see. It's a great.
I appreciate it. In a very British way, I'll try and take the compliment and move it on. If they do well, I earn lots of money, right? So there's a bit of a Machiavellian twist in it that if they do well, I do. So yeah,
fair.
It's not all about just the goodness in my heart.
I know, and I try not to compliment too much. I know it's not the British way, as you would say.
Yeah.
So, but I do appreciate that, and I think that says a lot. And I think especially now when we're in such a capitalist or profit center business, it's nice to see leaders that still care about their people. And I think, to your point, there's a symbiotic relationship to that, because as much as you're invested in them, they're invested in you. And to your earlier point, you're creating this community of people learning from people. And that's how we all grow. There's no way. I never heard you once say, well, I sit in a dark room and I come up with it all by myself, and I don't really need anybody else. We do all need each other. And when you build, and you said the word community, I'll have to go back and listen. How many times did you say the word community? But that's exactly it. And interestingly, that's something that ePlus / IGX Global, and for clarity, let me put a pin in my last thought. IGX Global is an ePlus company. So when I say ePlus, IGX Global, we're saying the same thing.
Yeah, I'm not moonlighting across 4 different companies. So it's IGX Global and ePlus Technology Company. So ePlus has been around for 30 plus years. One of only, I think it's 10% of companies listed on the NASDAQ who have done so. big kind of multi-billion-dollar organization. And ePlus was an acquisition. Sorry, IGX was an acquisition they made back in 2015, and we continue to use that name in UK and Europe.
Exactly.
But yeah, difficult to fit on a business card. IGX Global and ePlus technology company.
But I'm sure as people are listening, like, what are they talking about? Is it IGX or ePlus?
Yeah,
It
who you
is.
working for?
Yes.
Yeah.
The answer is yes. Yeah. But as I was kind of back to my community thought, back to the original thought, what ePlus is doing, what you guys are doing around really surrounding your customers with a community, what you now lovingly call jazz band, which I definitely want to drill into. It's a concept, we work with a lot of your competitors. We work with a ton of VARs, GSIs, SIs, you name it, disties. You guys are doing something incredibly unique. And I get the advantage of hearing from your customers and your teams, even at the field level, all the way up to the leadership level, of the impact that's having. So when you talk about community, this isn't just a personal attribute that is so dear to you. It's something that I'm seeing surrounding your organization and what's differentiating you on the map. So tell us a little bit about, what is jazz band? What is that?
Yeah, I'm going to. Some of the team will cringe as we talk about this if they watch this one back. But so look, it's a key point. But there are a couple of major reasons that kind of I joined ePlus a couple of years ago and joined the IGX family over here. So number one, we're global. I want to be able to deploy solutions globally to customers, and I need to be able to do that not in one product set area. So the fact we can do network, DC, cloud, collab, security, and AI globally was really important to me. To your point, if you're going to as well create a community, you need to have what I see as longevity, both in the company and with customers. And so the fact we've been around for those 30 plus years, but a stat which really made me want to come join was the average tenure of an account executive in a technology industry here is something like 8 to 9 years. That's unheard of, right? Most other companies, people are popping up and disappearing every 5 minutes saying, I know I said this technology was great, I've changed my mind, I work for this company now, this is the best one for you. Right. So the fact that we kind of have those relationships which span multiple projects, multiple decades, even with the same groups of people, is really important. The third bit, and it's probably a bit selfish for me on the sales side, I've always run sales and specialist sales teams, and the biggest challenge we have had, you can always get budget for another salesperson. You can always get budget signed off to get another salesperson, because in theory they're quota carrying and they deliver X pound, unless they're not doing what they need to do. The challenge is most places I've worked previously and I see out there, you get this glut of salespeople. I'm a salesperson, so I say that with respect. You get all this huge amounts of salespeople out there talking to the customers, and then below them you get your lead technical architects or your SEs, for example, and there might be a 5-to-1 ratio, e.g., 5 salespeople to 1 tech. And then you get your project managers, and it's even worse. And then you get your specialists and your international trade team who do compliance and these things. But fundamentally, you've got all these salespeople and this limited resource underneath. And one of the reasons I joined ePlus is they've got IGX. They've got a better than 1-to-1 mapping of technical resource to sales. So that means when my sales team go out and see a customer, they're not having to qualify it 52 times with the customer before the right person comes and talks to the customer. That was really empowering to me, and I was really excited about joining. But I think it was about 6 months in, I was sat down with some of the team, and we had this really a problem which I'd never seen in any other organization before, which was kind of sales top heavy, where we're kind of the other way around. In everything I've ever done, people will say the sales is the conductor of the orchestra. So always kind of think about it. The audience is the customer. They're the ones who are paying and have got the problems and have come to hear what we've got to say. And then in front of the salesperson is their team, or their LTA, their technical resource, their BDE, whatever that may be. And the conductor is the person who's meant to kind of sit in between the customer and them and tell everybody when to play. And when you've got loads of salespeople and not much resource, that's usually pretty easy, because the salesperson is generally sat there in front of quite an empty orchestra. But now and again, they go play, go play. Here, we had a full orchestra. We had just a proper orchestra ready to play to any song that was wanted, and just one conductor. And what we were finding is when the salesperson and the conductor of the orchestra left the room, went on holiday, went to another customer meeting, went and did something else, the room went silent, just like the conductor had left the room. And the
Right.
customers, like they always would come up and go, "Oh, there's no salesperson here, so he's on holiday. I'll wait a couple of weeks." And I was saying, "Well, hang on, the salesperson doesn't have to be here." And so we had to come with this idea. Someone had been talking about it previously, and they were talking, why don't we be a bit more like a jazz band? If you think about a jazz band, you've got all the same groups of musical instruments going, right? You've got the same audience. But in theory, if all the lead conductor does is not be a conductor, but be kind of the lead person in a jazz band, and they just kind of set the metronome, the kind of the tempo, and we allow everybody around that person, the LTA, to riff and play, and the international specialists to play their trade and compliance information, and let them directly engage with the audience. Well, in theory and in practice, the salesperson can leave the room,
Right.
can completely leave, and everything keeps on going. And so we put this in place, and it took some serious changes in how we worked as a team. But the outcomes we've seen have been brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
I mean, it's just such a revolutionary idea about how you support your customers. And especially, again, it goes back to what we were talking about when we first started talking, which is things are only getting more complex right now. Technology never dies. We just keep adding on, that's just the nature of our business. So how do you do that? How do you compensate for that model? And because ePlus has such a vast, deep technical army or, band behind you, now all of a sudden you're flipping the script and saying, well, wait a minute, are we looking at this the right way? It also shows just how incredibly invested you are in those outcomes that you promise to your customers.
Well, I think
Even if
it was really. No, sorry. I think to your point, it was really hard to start with because everything you taught previously is, the salesperson owns the account, the salesperson makes the decision. No one say anything to my customer about run it past me first, because what would happen if you did something wrong?
right,
And so we had to, and generally the only time that the specialists get in front of the customer is when they're invited, and maybe if they want to talk about AI specifically, we'll go into that. There's so many stacks of things you've got to think about that you end up with this kind of bring the bus mentality that you'll get 20 people in a room to have a conversation. I can barely
right,
organize my own diary, let alone 20 other people. So it just wasn't working. But what we found is we had to get to this point where we had to do two things. One was we had to set what we call the metronome cadence calls. So a salesperson is going to have to get their group of fantastic resource on a call without the customer there to set the beat. This is what's happening. You might
right.
not have been in that meeting. You don't need to be in this meeting, but this is what's happening now. And so everybody knows what's happening. Now, mostly that's done in customer meetings. I've seen customers in other roles I've done. The specialist in the corner asks a question. I'm like, well, the customer said, well, you should know that. You deployed that for me 2 years ago. And so you've got to remove that. And that's what those kind of cadence metronome calls give us in jazz band. The second thing was authority. Even though we said it was okay, you'd still see some of the technical resources going, well, I saw the email from the customer, but I didn't think it was my job to respond. And we found ourselves getting stuck with the word we. Hey guys, girls, we need to go do X, we need to do Y, let's split. And we found that everybody with the word we went, oh, I assume that means the other we, not
Right.
me. And so we had to purposely move to the cadence calls using you and I. And we had to give confidence to everybody to say, I want you to do this. And that person had to say, I will own that. And we also had to allow everybody to say, and I guarantee one of us is going to make a mistake at some point. And that is
Mhm.
okay, because
Yeah.
we're all going to make it. But the advantages we get of fast pace, knowledge in the customer, sharing informations, did you know, is massively outweighed for our customers versus, oh, I sent you the wrong quote because I was trying to get it in 1 day to you rather than 5 weeks, which you might have taken previously. So we found that really interesting. And I think to your point on AI, I think AI is really, I don't think you can work in conductor of orchestra And I worry, if I was still in previous kind of places, about how we scale and scope working in that way. If you think about AI, everyone getting very excited, but fundamentally, you've got to get a load of these kind of modular building blocks put together to make it work. So you're a customer, you get that instruction from your C-level board. We need to do something on AI. We must do something on AI. And then you're a CTO, someone else in that team, and okay, what are we going to go do? Well, what are you going to do? Well, firstly, you might need some advice. So ePlus, we have our advisory service. You might be AI curious, you might be AI settled, you might be an AI expert, but you might want to just talk to somebody who can guide you on where you should go and what others are doing. Did you know? Well, great. Now you've done that. Now you might need to buy some GPUs. You might need some NVIDIA DGX. You might need something physical to buy. Well, now you're going to go talk to that team over there, maybe, if you're not talking to someone else. Well, ePlus, we're an NVIDIA DGX managed service partner globally. Then you need some plumbing, because this kind of AI stuff is churning data through it, and you've got to move that data around fast. So you might need the kind of the solution like a Mellanox InfiniBand or a Juniper or a Cisco converged Ethernet solution. Again, you're going to go have another 5 meetings with 5 other people about that. We're a Cisco Gold partner, we're a Juniper Elite partner, we're an NVIDIA partner, as I said. Now you've got data everywhere. You've got to store it somewhere where you need storage as a service, maybe from the likes of Pure. And what happens if someone ransomwares that data? What you're going to do there? You need backup as a service with Rubrik suddenly. And now all this stuff's got to be stuck somewhere. We've got to stick it in a data center. So, who's going to do that for you? And then once you've got all those modular building blocks sorted, at some point, well, who's going to install it, maintain it, manage service it, feed it, water it? And so when AI came out, we found the team were in a really unique position when a customer said to us, well, I want to discuss AI. Traditionally, what you do is you send all the people who were the experts in that area all en masse to go meet with the customer to ask them all lots and lots of questions, if you were even allowed to do that. Now what we're able to do is sit there and go, okay, well, they're AI curious, so we just need the advisory team. They already buy Juniper Office, so we know what they've got there, so we know they've got the plumbing. Let's just send our AI person and our plumbing person. And by the way, guys, girls, you already know the customer. The salesperson can't make it, but the customer can make the meeting tomorrow. Go. And you just find it works so well.
Mm-hmm. And again, it goes back to that's the best, quickest result to your customer.
It's fun, yeah.
It really is. And I applaud you for building that out and then taking it on, because I can't imagine just even the mental shift that it required of your teams. And you touched on it a little bit. And then organizationally, what that meant, operationally, what that meant. And, so I applaud you. And we're already 7 minutes over. I'm like, oh, this is so interesting. And from a behavioral standpoint, and then of course, from an outcome and impact standpoint. So Andy, I'd love to have you back on. Thank you so much for joining and for being so open and honest about some of the things that you're doing and how you approach them. The world is trying to figure it out right now, and we need strong partners like you to help facilitate that and help navigate that. It's not going to get easier. I'll say it that way. It's only going to get more complex. So thank you for what you do. Before we go, if folks have questions, if they want to reach out to you, what's the best way that they can get in touch with you?
So I'm sure we'll put a little link on somewhere on the IGX Global webpage and our contact us page. But look, do reach out, partners, customers, etc. Desperate to kind of sit in a room and take our jazz band methodology and the great people we've got, sit them in front of you and help you get great outcomes. So reach out to us on the details we provide, and looking forward to talking and sharing some did you knows. Did you knows? There we go. Another lesson learned that I'll take with me. So thank you, Andy, and we will see you soon. Great stuff. See you soon. See you soon. Bye.